It's that time of the year, and what a long wait it has been. It is officially October. So we decided to bring everything out and get back with you and talk to you and stuff. So anyway, here we go. We're going to kick this one off actually with a cool box set. They came out, this is here the Friday the 13th box set, and they really knocked this one out of the park. This is by Scream Factory. If you're not familiar with Scream Factory, they have been doing a phenomenal job of just re-releasing a lot of our old favorites that horror hounds like myself definitely is a true treat for us to have these things. So anyway, also I got Mr. Holster's hat on. So if you, so those of you that remember our late friend Mr. Holster. So anyway, for Mr. Holster there. Okay, so let's take this one out. This is really neat. We'll go ahead and actually dump all these out here, because without making a huge mess, because there is this many of these films. And there's actually, I think, more. Oh no, I think this actually does complete it as of right now. I think they're working on another reboot. That's always like that always just like gets me every time. It's like, oh, let's do a reboot, but you've already done a reboot. But then we'll do a prequel. But then we'll do a prequel sequel. But part, it's just like it's, and then they never seem to get it right. So, and I think, you know what, in odds to Robert Englund that did Freddy Krueger. Robert Englund even said, when they did the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, he said it's gonna suck. And they even found that out when they did Nightmare on Elm Street 2, where the agents and stuff, they said, oh, Robert Englund, I think it's something with they didn't want to cast him. They said, oh, we'll just get somebody else. It's just a guy in a rubber suit. And they found out real quick, you can't do that. Robert Englund made that his own, and that's it. So there you have it. All right, so the outer packaging, really cool. The artwork is awesome on it. They do a nice touch on all this new stuff that they got. You can see it's a collage of basically all the Friday the 13th and everything, even my very favorite, and which is part 7, because that is when I first originally saw it on Joe Bob Briggs' Monster Vision on TNT late night. That's how I got to see a lot of this stuff. Back then, parents weren't too concerned about, just, I don't know, at least it wasn't in my household. We weren't, my mom and dad, they didn't care, we rented a lot of this stuff, and it was all in good fun. We understood it was fun. Alright, so one of the things I will say about the set that I really like is they include the original artwork. The original artwork that is included, that really makes this set. They also have on the other side, let's see here, we'll take this out. They do have other things on it, which this is kind of interesting, because I actually don't remember that artwork. That one right there. It looks like it's like a pillow with an axe going through it, and the axe has got some notches on it, of course some blood, and then some feathers and stuff. I don't remember that artwork. I don't know if that's new or what, but that's the artwork I remember, the old VHS cover. And that's one thing that I gotta say about this collection, that they did do that right. That for a lot of us, that for at least for my generation, that this is the videotapes that we grew up with, and that was it. I mean, a lot of it was just the VHS magic days. That was really what did it for us. I mean, I got a couple here. This is the original copy of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre on VHS. Someday I'll show some more of my horror memorabilia and collection and stuff like that I've collected, because in the end, that's actually a lot of things I spend a lot of my money on. I really go after a lot of these things, and surprisingly enough, they've gotten really pricey over the years. I had to actually go on auction for this, and it's not in very good shape. It's definitely been used. It's from a video store. It is actually from Talk of the Town video rental, Maybe some of you guys know who that is. They even got the old scan code on it. These tapes here, you know, they got the original tan top on them. That sets them back. You got the side label, and then the top label here, and then of course there is a 50 cents charge if the tape is not rewound. Those of us that remember that, please be kind and rewind. But yeah, that's the that to me was the original. That's what I remember. There's a lot of duplicates of them out there, but that's the original one that I definitely remember. And of course, the original copy of Halloween on VHS. And this has got still the bottom flap, because these were side loaders. They opened up from the side, and then you drove the tape out. Now the place where I bought this from, the local bookstore, they had sealed it, so I left it sealed. There's no point in opening it up. Hopefully it's the actual tape, and I'm sure it is. But or I could do it and reseal it. But I remember the back, seeing him there against the window, and I remember seeing that. That was really neat. So that was originally like this one, where it had the bottom and everything, but most of the time they just ripped those right off. I mean, they didn't care. This was not something, even back when I was looking at tapes, I mean, if you would have told me back when I had my VHS collection that, oh yeah, these are going to be worth so much money, I would have, I mean, I really wish I would have kept my VHS collection. I really do. At least the horror ones. I would give anything to have those back. I should never have gotten rid of them. But what was happening was DVD was taking over. So, all right, now here's part two. Really, part two is about the most bland cover. It's just the outline now, and he's holding the axe. But I remember that. That's what I remember seeing in the video stores. At least it's a little bit, you know. In fact, I think it's the same, almost the same. Probably the same drawing from the first one, but at least the first one's got the forest scene, and that's always been neat. You know, you got and that's one thing cool about the old videotapes and stuff from that era and that time, was the covers. They knew how important the covers were. I mean, the covers is what made you want to go rent these things. So actually, let's open this one up and see what. Yeah, so it just says Friday the 13th in big letters across it, but I switched it out to that, and a lot of these had alternative cover arts. Part 3, I certainly definitely remember that, with the shower curtain, the knife coming through, the blood drips, and this was this one was done in 3D. So everything in the movie itself funny is because they're like, hey, yeah, check this out. So everything was just like, you can tell they were very new to doing it, but and it's just a new dimension in terror. This one is number 3. I remember when I was watching it or going through and checking these out. Part 3 was that was like, I remember saying, look, he doesn't have his hockey mask in part 2, so part 3 he must get his hockey mask. I remember as a kid just like trying to like get that, and then sure enough, yeah, that's when he first. Part 3 is when he first dons the hockey mask, and he's got this like horrendous appliance all over his neck and his head, and he just looks like mutant man. And he runs in it. That one he's kind of. I mean, number 2 he's running. He's really active in 2. But number 3, you know, I always remember watching that one a lot, because he would run, and he kind of talked in it. You know, they would stab him and he'd make noise, and just all these cool little things that I remember. And a lot of people ask, you know, too, like we would go to horror conventions or whatnot, and we'd ask, you know, why did Jason change so much? Or why was it like, you know, because there was different directors, different movies, different actors playing them, you know, so it was always something different. All right, one of my favorite VHS covers of all time, and favorite pretty much artwork, is the final chapter. Final chapter, try not to get the glare on you, is just, this is just so cool. I saw this in a video store and I just about fainted. I said, this has got to be good. God bless the 80s. Anyway, the final chapter. He got the hockey mask. It is grungy. It is disgusting. It's got the buck knife going through the eyeball of it, and it's just like spilled the blood. I mean, whoever set this up, this is just awesome. And just I remember turning it over and seeing that and just being like, wow, what is going on? I've got to rent this. And then of course the other side is just again just big letters that say, you know, Friday the 13th or something like that. Although they didn't get the cut scenes in the back correct for the original tape. There would have been, because I remember that was the other thing that's really important when you looked at the backs of these things. That was it. I can't, you know, when we would take these off the shelf and turn them around, that was if you could get past the front cover and you could flip it over. And of course, us kids, well, we're not going to read this. We're going to look at the picture. What's going on? Yeah, and of course you see the pictures, and that always stuck in my memories. There's always that. But Friday the 13th, the final chapter. In fact, Tom Savini comes back to do the effects for it. Tom Savini is the guy that actually created the character Jason in the end of the first one when he comes out of the lake and he scoops her up from the canoe. He's the one that created that. Now, Tom Savini also did the makeup effects for such films like Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and all those type of movies like that. He was the king of slasher films of the 80s. I mean, he was. He even said he considers himself like an assassin. He was just going around from one to the next. I mean, he did like movies like The Maniac, where it's got the infamous shotgun decapitation scene in the actual car. And I know this is kind of like gross to be thinking, but it's a movie. It's all about. We know it's fake. It's an effects, you know. So that's what it is. It's not like we're sitting there embracing the real thing. It's all the effects in the movie. It's like a big magic show. You know, it's you go there to be wowed and everything, but you know in reality the woman was not actually cut in half with a hacksaw. So, but just the way they would do things like that, Maniac, you know, I mean, they just jumped up on the car hood and shot this mannequin head off with a shotgun, you know, under a bridge above them in New York City somewhere. That insane stuff like that. Of course, it's got the late great Joe Spinelli in it. But he did a lot of these things, and then come Tuesday, his DVD copy of Smoke and Mirrors is coming out, the documentary on Tom Savini. You better believe I'm getting that. All right, so now we're going to, I didn't put these back in order the last time I watched them. So we got part 4. Now we're jumping around to part 5. And I know a lot of us were disappointed with the part 5 cover, because this is not the cover we would remember from the VHS days. In fact, I thought they had showed the cover somewhere on it. Yeah, the original cover that we recall, for us kids that remember this, that right there, if you see on the spine, it's that goofy looking hockey mask with the lights coming out of it. Now, I know, granted, this is a pretty cool cover. I mean, as far as VHS days, that would have been definitely intriguing. But what we remember was that weird hockey mask with the square cuts in it with the light coming through. That's what we remember. But I don't know what all the other stuff is about. So anyway, this was the one where it's the fake Jason, basically. But when I was a kid, I didn't really know. I just watched it, thought it was Jason going around killing people as usual, business as usual for a Friday the 13th, but it wasn't. This is kind of I guess you could almost say it's not really liked amongst the fans, but it does have a cult following. People do like it. I like it. It's it's definitely, it's one of my, I do like them. When it comes to the early ones, right up to, I would almost say part 8. Yeah. Part 8 is, of course, enter Kane Hodder, right? In part 7 and 8. Anyway, we're going to get to that. All right, part 6 now. Again, I remember having these on VHS, and it just brings back so much memories. Part 6, Jason Lives. This was directed by what's his name? Tom McLaughlin, which was cool because he's really into music, heavy metal and stuff like that. Alice Cooper and whatnot. And Alice Cooper has a really cool song in this, and so this whole thing has a real gothic feel to it, a real awesome, just tone to this one. This is a really good one. He basically, he comes back to life. It's the real Jason. He's back to life. He's terrorizing another camp. It's got great scenes of gore. And that's another thing, too, is like, man, they cut so much stuff out of this that I wish they would somehow be able to preserve them and go back to them, especially part 7. But no, this one was really cool. This is when they actually sink him to the bottom of the lake. And I've heard that they had a couple different people that were playing him they had to get. So that's an interesting, but I definitely had that on VHS for sure. All right. Enter my favorite one. Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. Yes. And the most awesome cover as well. I always love that cover. In fact, I should buy this poster. Kane Hodder comes in to play Jason. John Carl Buechler, rest in peace. We lost a great one there. He's directing it. He also did the effects for it as well. He's another makeup effects artist. He just did a phenomenal, all his work is just really good. He did also things like Troll and all that. But anyway, here, this one, Kane Hodder comes in. Kane Hodder, reason why so many of us, and I think, well, at least for me, why we like Kane Hodder is Kane Hodder gave that character life and attitude, and just, he embraced it. He loved it. The other predecessors, the other people that were playing him, it was, and I'm not, and I, they realize it now what impact they had. Not all of them are like that, but there was a lot of it was just, it's a job, it's a movie. Ted White, I believe, is the one that played it for Part 4. At the time, he wasn't all thrilled, and he admits this. And of course now he goes to the signings, he signs your stuff. He's just like, I'm sure he's just blown away, because that's what it is. Like us, the horror community, we are an entity in ourselves, and we're just definitely we love and embrace all these things, especially when. My age bracket and older, a little older, we're right in that age, that we remember these, and so we just embrace it and we love it. Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, aka known as the Disney version of Friday the 13th, because they had to cut so much things out. Again, I really wish somebody would go through and they would actually be able to just salvage some of the footage that was removed. Just do something, figure it out. But the cover art is also awesome. I really liked it. Kane Hodder, again, reprising for Jason. Awesome stuff. Then this one, I always remember the sewer ending when they're down in the sewer and he takes his mask off and he's just like horrible looking, melted by the acid and everything. Just looks horrible in it. Really, that's a great one. All right, and then of course Part 9, which is Jason Goes to Hell. Now, this is my favorite look of Jason. He just looks awesome in this. If you get a chance to see what he looks like, or if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. He looks the most amazing in it. I think he just looks. That is if out of all of them that he did the makeup. That's the one that I like the most. Now, the movie sucks because the movie, it's like, hey, let's make a Friday the 13th movie, but let's not put Jason in it. Like, didn't you learn that with Halloween 3? It's like, let's not put Jason in it. Jason is a slug and basically contaminates other people, and they become Jason, and so you basically only get to see Jason in the beginning and the end. 2 little sections. That's it. Whoever did that decision, I don't know. Probably should have done something about that. Okay. Jason X. Yes, Jason X. Kane Hodder reprising again. As you can see here, Kane Hodder by this time is the only actor to really reprise many, many times for Jason. Kind of does what? It kind of pretty much cements that is this guy's Jason. Evil gets an upgrade. It's basically Jason in space. If you need any more explanation than that, it's Jason in space. He becomes the Uber Jason. It's got this big, badass hockey mask in it and everything like that. It's not really my favorite. It's a little. By this time, it's stepping out of the. I'm old school. I like the '80s campy ones. People go in the woods, get basically ambushed, whatever. So that's just me. I love those kind of movies. The Forest, Don't Go in the Woods, and Humongous, and all those. All those ones. That's the stuff I love. All right, moving along. Now the one that we've all been waiting for. Every horror fan ever wanted. Freddy versus Jason. That's right, Freddy versus Jason. So we got Robert Englund as Jason, and guess who is Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, and guess who is Jason? Not Kane Hodder. Who in the hell decided to do that? You don't use Kane Hodder for Jason? Yeah, they use another guy? Okay. I'm telling you this right now as a horror fan of all this and everything. Whoever made that decision, you deserve to never make another. You shouldn't be able to touch another horror film ever. That is the most ridiculous decision ever. Kane Hodder is Jason. This is what fans have been waiting for forever. Where is Kane Hodder? You replace him? Okay. Now they got that out of the system, because I am one of those fans that is extremely pissed off about that. Yeah, even the sirens are going for that. An emergency call here. Anyway, no, aside from that, okay, the movie's actually decent. It would have been way better if Kane Hodder was Jason, but the movie was fairly decent. They definitely they beefed things up. Yeah, director Ronnie Yu, screw you. I'm sorry, I just can't, no. So anyway, the movie's alright. I saw it in the theater when it came out. Like I said, it could have been better, but it's a gore fest. It definitely, it's for what it is. It's pretty awesome. They still kind of had that throwback feeling, even though it's a more modern movie, because it enters the 2000s. I believe this is 03, yeah, 2003. But anyway, there it is. Didn't mean to throw that. I know, it just kind of set the tone. Wow, he really doesn't like that movie. But all right, and then of course the reboot. Derek Mears. To me, Derek Mears did a pretty good job as Jason for what it is worth. Would have been better if it was Kane Hodder. But no, by then they started replacing Kane Hodder, and this is a Michael Bay production and all that, so they did this reboot, and it came out in 2009, I think. Yeah, a lot of us were really excited for it, wanted to go see it. Like a sucker, we always want to, we got to go see it. And of course, it's never as good as we hope it is, and that's the case for me. It was just not as good as we hoped it was. But then again, I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of newer stuff, although I do go see certain ones that I like and everything. I did go see The Barbarian, which is actually a really interesting movie, but then again, they kind of get to the point where they have their own little things that they're entering into these films now, their little opinions and political things, and I wish they wouldn't do that. I really do. I wish they would just separate that, because just make a horror film, for Pete's sakes. Okay, and then of course they got all the bonus material. You've got new interviews with the composers, location featurettes, return to the Crystal Lake, making of Friday the 13th, Friday the 13th Chronicles, which is actually a great featurette thing, Secrets of the Gore Behind the Gore, which is awesome because you get to see Tom Savini and talk about all the stuff that they did do with it. Documentary Slice and Dice Slasher Films Forever. All right, Scream Queens, horror heroines, and all that. The most likely all the ladies and everything. But although it's funny is because the first ever guy to lead a horror film like that, because it's always a girl. It's got to be. It's always a Scream Queen. Come on, But Friday the 13th Part 2, kind of weird. All right. Crystal Lake Victims tells all Tales from the Cutting Room. That's where you actually find out about all this cool stuff that they cut out of the movie. Friday the 13th artifacts, collectibles, and everything like that. So that's cool. You get a book. The book is really awesome. It's got a bunch of cool stuff, how things got started. Sean Cunningham and everything, which he went on to do other movies like House and everything, which is great. The first one is, I don't know, but 2 is kind of like, I don't know what happened here. And then there's like 3 and 4, House, and then it's like almost like nothing to do with not even worth it. House 1 is about it. But anyway, there it is, the box set for Friday the 13th. We did do an unboxing video on this when I first got it, but I figure sit here and chat with you guys and talk about it. Anyway, happy Halloween. It's October, so